Hi, Jack.
Hi,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. You're a little backlit. That's all right. I can see you. Just one second. I'm going to grab a little more coffee. There we are. Let's see. I believe everyone is here. If we can unmute everyone. Good morning, everyone. If we could, everyone would unmute. Let's see. There we are. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for making it an on-time start. I'm Katie Kavanaugh. I'm a graduate of the Learning Design and Technology program in 2010. And the medium I've worked in for more than 20 years is cinema. And I use it as a learning intervention tool because I witnessed how incredible a learning tool it is at the Berlin Film Festival's Children and Youth section, which happens annually in February for 2 weeks. And 1,000 kids fill the cinemas 3 times, 3 or 4 locations, and more than 4 times a day. And it's pretty incredible. So I'll tell you more about that in a bit. First, I would like to let's see. Get this moving. There we go. What you'll need for this workshop is something to write with, and I know some of you are driving, but a journal, and just to start off, enough space to stand and tilt. So I'm going to stand right now, push my chair to the side, because I am a huge proponent of improvisational theater. And let's see here. There we are. Whoop, let's go back. And I believe in making a 2-foot commitment to being where we are. So if you're sitting, standing, this is either way. This is a warm-up we do in improvisational theater. It's simply called shakeout. And we start on one side, go to the other, and hands, hands, leg, leg, head. And that's all we'll do today. And it goes 8, 4, 2, 1. So it just is a little shakeout to get us here in one place. And I'll start with my right hand. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left hand 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right leg 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left leg 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To 4 on the right hand 1, 2, 3, 4. Left hand 2, 3, 4. Right leg 2, 3, 4. Left leg 2, 3, 4. Now 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And oh, I forgot the head. 1, 2, and now just 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. Head, shake, and done. Great. Take a seat if you're not already. I'm going to shift my standing desk to my sitting desk, which is 2 boxes. There we are. And now I'm going to sit down.
May I make a quick comment?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say I'm in a car on a ferry in the San Juan Islands, and then I'll be driving. So I will just be listening, okay?
Okay, Phyllis, thank you very much.
On video myself. Thank you.
All right. If you see an orca, please tell us.
I'll wave to it.
All right. Good. And I'd love to make introductions all around. And I would like to introduce someone who is not on the list. And that's Jack Rasmussen. He and I have just met, and he's very enthusiastic about international films for young audiences. And we're hoping to participate in a week-long intensive with Steve Blank and team called Hacking for Recovery. And we're going to present my product, Screen 360 TV, a learning platform, which you'll find out more about, that uses international film as a learning intervention. And we're going to hopefully put Screen 360 TV through that week-long ringer and find a pivot if we need it, find what it needs. So I'm looking very much forward to that, Jack. And that's your introduction. Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack Rasmussen. I'm currently going into my junior year at USC, studying business administration and cinematic arts. And like Katie said, I am taking part in the Hacking for Recovery this summer, and I couldn't be more excited to be a part of Screen 360. I love foreign films, and I definitely think in today's world, they're very important for learning, and I'm just excited to be here.
Cool, great. Dee Dee.
Yes, hi. I'm Dee Dee Pierce, and I'm in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, which is where I live. I graduated from STEP in '98 and taught at Los Altos High School, retired from Los Altos High School, social studies department. Now that I'm in Chagrin Falls, I've always been a big film buff, and obviously education is really important, especially for, in my situation, high school kids. So there's a fabulous film festival here, a documentary film festival, international. And 2 years ago, I talked them into letting me start a high school film festival for high school students in Northeast Ohio. So I'm very interested in whatever I can learn today, for sure.
Great, Dee Dee. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much for coming along. Phyllis. Phyllis, are you hearing us? I'm going to ask you to unmute. Eva, please tell us about
Yes. Hi, my name is Eva. My whole name is Evangelia Briones, and I teach at Stanford. I teach language. I also direct a program of less commonly taught languages. My pro bono work has to do with Greek community-based schools. I have used film for teaching language and culture. I think it is a fantastic medium that has to offer a lot. In my program at Stanford, we offer about 22 languages that are spoken all over the world, but are not represented in many universities. We have languages like Yupik Eskimo, or Khmer, or Cherokee. Some of them you wouldn't recognize their names, but we have them at Stanford because our students conduct research in these areas. So they are interested in doing field work, in connecting with archives, and they need the language so that they can do their work. We have heritage students, Vietnamese, Hindi, we have a lot in the Bay Area, and at Stanford there is a good representation of students who come from heritage backgrounds. And we try to create curriculum that is relevant to their needs, and also beyond linguistics to teach the culture. And as I mentioned, film is really great. And especially now with YouTube and all these things that exist, it is much easier. That's all.
Thank you, Ava. I'm looking forward to coming to your lab at some point. Yeah.
Anytime, yeah.
Yeah, good. And Phyllis, you're
Yes.
off mute now. Please tell us about yourself and
Okay.
how and film in your life.
Well, it actually is. I was working in or at Stanford and received my doctorate in 1998. As you can see, I have white hair, so I wasn't young even then. And I mean, you could see before if you saw me. And I pull over on the side of the road now. I'm up here, but when I was teaching in secondary school, and I'd been interested for a very long time in images, but not video, because I was teaching photography, but way back, I was in the Peace Corps in Africa. And my then husband and I were here and there in different countries and very interested in the visual things that were part of our lives that meant so much to us. And we learned so much by looking carefully, by thinking carefully. And my grandson is 20, who's French American, has been doing video since he was about 10 years old. And I wanted to listen to this to think about things for him as well.
Great,
So
thank you, Phyllis. Thank you. We're glad to have you. And finally, Michelle.
Yes, I'm sorry the dishwasher is making noise in the background, but I am a class of 62 graduate of Stanford in international relations, and I got my master's in education from Stanford in '66. I taught continuously until I retired, I believe it's 12 years ago, even more than that, 20 years ago, sorry. And I am now living in Santa Rosa, California. I still teach privately for the Alliance Française, and I taught many, many years in the Palo Alto School District, at Gunn High School, especially in the advanced placement program, and was a reader and a writer for the advanced placement program in French for many years. And I think that's probably enough.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So certainly all of you who have engaged with languages as educators, you have used cinema as an opportunity for language immersion. And the next best thing, of course, is traveling to the actual countries where the language is spoken. And that's in part why we use cinema, so that we can give that opportunity to those who can't get out to it for various reasons, economic, health, and many other reasons. And this is, I think, our opportunity here. Whoop, there we go. I want to acknowledge, of course, the time that we're in now. Feelings are very raw, and we've all just been frightened about being sick, and now we're frightened about being hurt and not taken care of. And so I want to acknowledge the space that we're in right now, but also to look at it as an incredible time for empathy. It's extremely elevated right now. We were looking around the world and sort of joining hands with COVID, and still now the world is also looking at what's going on in the United States as far as our race relations and need for police reform and need for reform altogether. So we're at a huge turning point. And so what do we do when we're in crisis? We do have an opportunity to, we either go back, and we have to go back a little bit to where we are, but it is an opportunity to really veil forward into our aspirational behaviors. So this is the design thinking mindset, where we can innovate, we trust each other more, we are multidisciplinary, multicultural, and we accept all offers and keep moving and testing and reiterating. And so we have been doing that with international film as a learning intervention. So I like a personal heuristic is look in, look out, look over. When looking for solutions, you of course reflect and deeply, but also looking out to your community immediately, community for solutions through conversation and engagement, deep engagement. But also more importantly, and something I don't believe that we do much in the United States, is look over borders. Those who do look over borders are often those in international business. And we do have a program at Stanford, the International Comparative Education, which I sidestepped actually at Stanford. I was very interested in it, but for me, it did not look closely enough at how arts are used internationally in education. So I maintained my both feet in learning design and technology, but I'm very interested in engaging with those who did study international comparative education. So here's an opportunity to harness that global interest, empathy, and use it as an interest into enormous learning. But this is my background. I have established helped establish 4 international children's film festivals in the Bay Area, including the San Francisco International Film Festival, Bay Area International Children's Film Festival, and the Mill Valley Film Festival, and Screen 360 Films for Children of the World, which was the one that I produced on my own. And I, now in this COVID sheltering at home situation, and recognizing that there are a lot of learners who can learn more deeply, that they're at home with their families, and restructuring learning every day, perhaps learning how to be more self-directed learners. So I've been putting up international films originally 4 times a day, but then now down to 3 times a day, hoping to capture viewers internationally. So we have early morning to capture those on the far west in Europe and beyond, and then in the afternoon we have a screening at 5:30 to capture folks in Australia and Asia. Let me tell you about a particular focus that I'm looking at, and that is how international film in particular is memorized, and how it stays in, cognitively stays with a young audience, so that it potentially can direct the life that's built upon it, or simply enrich and offer a view to the world much earlier on in life. And it is agreed by festival directors around the world that this helps to diminish xenophobia and nationalism. And as difficult it is for some people I know to accept that, there is a balance, and we are becoming more international. And so we need to prepare our 56.6 million learners in the United States for a more global world. So I was able to get a research grant through Stanford, the Freie University, and the DAAD in Germany to collaborate with the Berlin Film Festival's Children and Youth section. And this is some of what I captured. And you will see the lead researcher whose work that I've been using as a basis for my research. And this is our first film clip with, let's go back. No, it's a little tricky, there it is. And I'll try and bring it forward.
Deine erste Mal auf der Berlinale? Deine erste Mal mit deinem Film mit einer anderen Sprache vielleicht?
Sorry, I'm trying to open it up full screen and I've got things in the way.
Für wen ist das erste Mal, dass Sie in einem internationalen
Okay. Sorry, just there's so many little bars and things to go. Let me just. There we are.
Deine erste Mal auf der Berlinale? Deine erste Mal mit deinem Film mit einer anderen Sprache vielleicht? Für wen ist das erste Mal, dass Sie in einem internationalen
For young children, it's quite possible that an international film, something that gives you a different perspective, for all the principles we know about memory, would be more memorable. It would be distinctive. Rather than the commercial, we tend to have, I think, the commercial movies tend to have a certain rhythm to them in the United States. They tend to have a certain plot line that kind of know where the laughs are supposed to occur. And there's a scriptedness to them that I think that doesn't make them as distinctive as they could be. So it would be interesting, I think, in the US to see reactions and responses to international films.
So that was David Pillamer. And my question to memory psychologists and cognitive scientists looking at memory was actually counter to their pathology, study of pathology, memory. So how does memory work constructively, and how does a film impact memory, and how are we able to remember something that is so far behind us but so vividly? And David Pillamer, in his book Momentous Events, Vivid Memory, really helped me understand how that works. And the film festival experience is vivid, and we're seeing the films in a mass of our peers. We're seeing international films in other languages, and often speaking to the filmmaker afterwards through a translator. And so this experience is like a mini UN for young audiences, and it's taken very seriously. And these are normal school children, and middle class and working class school children in Berlin. So there is not a great advantage they have, except that they have this incredible film festival in their midst every year, and it's been going on now for 45 years. And many of you might think that subtitles are a problem, and let me show you how we deal with the subtitles. Now, this one little girl does.
At first, I only just kind of knew what they were talking about, since they were talking Dutch, then German on top of that, and then the English subtitles. But eventually you got used to it and you could understand really well, as if it were only one language.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Start them early.
Yeah.
And finally, I did actually find Felix. This is a boy who, when I was serving on the international jury of this section at the Berlin Film Festival, it was 2001, Felix and his family sat behind the judges every day. And he started a conversation with me in his third language, which was English, as Spanish and German, of course, were his other languages. And he impressed me as a boy who was so excited to be where he was, but very calm, and recognized that this was something great that he was doing, that he was learning a lot. And so I wanted to find him 10 years later to understand how a childhood of watching international films impacted the decisions he made so far. And so here he is, along with one of his peers who also spent his childhood at the Berlin Film Festival's children's section and as a young journalist as well. How do you think maybe these films influenced your life?
And it gives you a feeling that the way you live isn't the only way possible, and that there are other ways to think about life, and even to make movies. And
in general, I think that international films will have an impact on the way children look at the world. Watching films like that, watching international films as the ones we are talking about, as they are shown at the Kinderfilmfest, I think definitely contributes to this kind of perspective, this kind of openness.
So that's the Finding Felix project, and it is, let's see here. There. And it is not finished yet. We're still waiting for more funding, and as one can understand. So there, let's go on. I'd like to try an opportunity for you to be inside one of the characters. Fliegen is a film, a co-production that I made in Germany and the United States. And this is a scene from a breakfast table. And this little girl has been, well, you'll find out, she is going through a transformation in her life. She's 11 years old. And I'll let you watch and enjoy and put yourself in the position of Gilbert. He's the American visiting and comes to the dinner table or breakfast table and doesn't speak German.
Hey.
Hi.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful.
Good morning.
I'm so happy for you. Oh. Morgen Metapora. Hat das noch ein bisschen Zeit? Guck mal, hier, Gilbert ist da. He's on his way to Helsinki for a new opera, and he's checking up on mine. Morning, Miss Metapora.
Bitte ein bisschen.
Okay, 10 times.
Papa's friend Gilbert had come to visit again. He was the one who'd brought me my pogo stick.
That's great. You know, 3 years ago she wouldn't even touch that thing.
Not a single day without it.
She's grown. Wow, Miss Metapora, you really fly up to the clouds, huh?
Yes.
Okay, Traumbericht.
Traumbericht!
Dream report, my dear Gilbert.
Oh.
We talk about them for fun, just to recognize any patterns. And JDC just read about this tribe in Indonesia who directs the tribe's daily plans by the dreams they've had the night before.
So I was having lunch near the river. Ich habe neben dem Fluss Mittag gegessen. And a boat full of people was coming towards me. Also ein Boot voller Leute kam auf mich zu. And when they come closer, als sie näher kommen, I see that they have no motor. Only people in the water are kicking and pushing the boat. Also ich sehe, dass sie keinen Motor haben. Nur Menschen im Wasser treiben das Boot voran.
Du hast so eine wundervolle Fantasie. Hi,
Morning.
Gilbert. Morning. Morgen alle.
Morgen.
Hallo. JDC, wie war dein Traum?
Ja, also in meinem Traum, und da waren Hunde. Ja, eigentlich waren es nicht richtig Hunde, es waren mehr so Hundedinger. Und diese Hundedinger, die hatten riesige Nasenlöcher und haben total aus dem Mund gestunken. Also man konnte sie von kilometerweiter Entfernung riechen. Die haben nach Futter gesucht.
Waren die im Wald?
Ja.
Dann habe ich von den gleichen Hunden geträumt. Wir haben gezeltet, es hat geregnet und man hat trotzdem diese Hundedinger riechen können.
Cool. Aber auch ganz schön gruselig sind's.
Oh ja.
Oh yeah. Oh, JDC was in a forest, and there were these dog-like things with the big nostrils and really bad breath. You can smell from meters away. And Lisa just said that she had the very same stinkers in her dream, and she was in the same forest as JDC was.
Wow. And has this happened before?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. The first time we had it was right before Elke was born. We were swimming underwater and suddenly a little dolphin swam alongside and nudged us with her nose. Yes, you sweetie. Hey, Metaphora. Metaphora, was hast du uns zu berichten?
Also ich bin über unser Haus geflogen und dann bin ich in eure Räume reingeflogen und habe euch da alle schlafen gesehen.
Wow, again? How did you fly this time? Arms out like Superman?
No, like a pelican. The side mostly. And float.
Oh, not fair. I never get to have flying dreams. And you've been flying a lot lately. Wonder what you're up to, Missy. The little trip flies.
Oh, flying dreams. Yeah, I have flying dreams.
How do you fly when you fly?
Well, I squeeze my muscles really tightly, and I squeeze. Squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until I lift off the ground, and then I fly.
Come on, let's take a walk. I want to show you a stork's nest on a rooftop down the road. Let's see if we can see her take off. Sehr spektakular. Kommt noch einer mit Storch gucken?
Okay. I'll come back on now. How was that? How was being Gilbert? You can all unmute now. And tell me what your sensations were as the language was being spoken around you.
Trying to understand and figuring quite a bit of it out.
Oh, okay.
Because of gestures, yes. And I've had German too.
Okay, good.
I was surprised that the parents were not always eager to translate everything.
Ah.
And Gilbert was sort of waiting for that, but it didn't happen always.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I look at that and I think I should have put subtitles, but I intentionally didn't. So I stand by my initial.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that, Eva? Would you have liked to have seen subtitles all the way through?
It depends on your purpose, on your goal for this particular audience or segment. Depends what you want to derive from that. But for my class, I would do it without and then with. For linguistic purposes. But in terms of the culture, I would leave it without subtitles.
Yeah.
Just to have a good, productive discussion.
Yeah, that's great. I would have had to have made 2 films, and that would have been difficult. So I went to.
No, you can subtract the subtitles whenever you want, and then.
Now you can. Sure.
Yeah.
One with and one. Yeah, we can. Now we can. But
I hate to leave you. It's very interesting. And can I have access to the recording?
You can see the entire film on my website, and it's on also my YouTube channel under my name.
Thank you so much.
Sure, of course.
Dankeschön.
Bitteschön. So let's go on and talk about where Gilbert might have fallen on this timeline of attitudes. This is what we have in our vocabulary now. We have avoidance, and this is, of course, quite raw in our culture right now in the United States. And on the far end, we have love, which is also a hot button for many people, and we can't touch that as a universal term. So we have tolerant to exist in parallel. And where would you say Gilbert fell along this line?
I would say in between love and tolerance, because he was very curious as to what everyone was saying, and he kind of looked to like what Ava was saying, to the parents to translate everything, because he was so curious into their culture and their language, and he was trying to understand. And I think it was very in the scene, it was very present, his perpetual like curiosity, and he was putting an effort to trying to understand and trying to connect with the kids, like even when he showed like, oh yeah, I dream of flying too, and then he really put an effort to try to connect with the kids and with everyone there. So I think definitely closer to love on the scale.
Yeah, that's nice, Jack. And I believe that anyone, well, first he's a composer, he's an artist, and he puts himself on the line all the time, so he doesn't mind looking a little silly, and did it, of course, it was clowning for the kids. But yes, that's also what it takes to plunge into a new culture in order to go after things that you don't know yet, to compose. And I think this is also in great part why business is looking to artists now to understand what risk-taking is and how to be less risk averse and understand what can be created from coherent teams. Let me go and offer a word from, there we go, from Todd Patinsky, whose work I found when I was at Stanford. The word allophilia is a very nice word that means love of others. And so there's a distinction between allophilia and appropriation, and appropriation doesn't have such a good tone in culture today. Because I believe things are taken without reference to its origin. Allophilia is different from that. It's a request, a sharing, and we do that, I believe, already when we go to a restaurant, a cultural restaurant, and immerse ourselves in the food of the family of that culture. And I think it's a healthy way of grasping that gray area between tolerance and love, and moving more towards love, but not so intimately, just with enough intimacy to have some cohesion, and to actually see that culture. So Todd Patinsky's work, he's written a lot about allophilia, and he has tested it in classrooms and in using it in public policy. And he's now at Stony Brook, University of Stony Brook, New York, and I would welcome that you take a look at his work. So as another quick exercise, note of recent foreign experience that challenged you. And of course, it doesn't have to have happened. internationally. It could be in your own neighborhood, or even with someone you know very well. Something foreign happened. So take a few minutes and think about that experience and list it in your journals. Let's give you a couple of minutes to do that because there's more to cover. All right, does everyone have that experience in mind? Note it down, need a little more time. Okay, I'm going to move on. So look at that experience now and apply allophilia. What would it mean to engage with allophilia? And how would it change? Take another few minutes. Well, we are a small group. I'd love to hear how your experience might have transformed. Anyone like to begin?
I can start.
Yeah, please, Eva. Thank you.
So I have been for a long time in this country. I am an alumna of the School of Education, PhD 1981. I still have, there are things that I'm not sure about in terms of culture. For example, you said to think about an event. I thought about a recent event with a friend whose husband died. She's American, and if I were in Greece, I would visit immediately. I would make myself available. I would ask, what do you need me to do? I'm here physically. But I was not so sure. And I wrote a note to make myself available and to say a few words. And I thought it was a little bit cold, but that was my way of expressing, you know, my sympathy and my support. So that was for me very different, but I thought that I have to stick with the rules and be careful, that's all.
That's a nice example, Eva, thank you, because you chose a sort of a middle ground, maybe an allophilic way, but still found a way to extend your empathy. Yeah.
But I was trying to be safe, and I'm not sure that was good.
That's nice. I suppose when your friend is later on, you might ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that, but it would be nice to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Anyone else like to share?
I could add something, although it's a bit different.
Please, Phyllis.
Okay, thanks. Having lived a life that was very multicultural in 4 countries in Africa, teaching English as a second language both there and back here in the United States, I had a lot of experiences with others, and I would say it was not difficult to feel much toward love of all the people that I met and worked with at that time. But we're talking about the 1960s in Africa, and then after that here. And teaching throughout the years was very multicultural. But now I'm retired and live in a place that is mostly white. And I mean really white, as I am, but I've had a few more experiences than many of them. So I meet people here that I really have to work on tolerance. We have, I would say right now, it's mainly around politics and racism and that kind of thing. And it's very difficult. It's something I'm having to work on of trying to, in cases where I barely tolerate, and I'm trying to work to understand their point of view more and be better at that. But that's my current life. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Phyllis. I understand. I think if you're in the Northwest, I'm also in the Northwest. And I think this is where we're having a real ringside front row seat to clashes of our 2 cultures in the United States, the conservative and the liberal. Yeah. Yes, this is very true. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
I can share mine. Mine isn't, I haven't had the experience as Phyllis and Ava, but one of my best friends growing up was Vietnamese. And so for one of my classes at USC, I had to watch a film called Tiger Tail, which begins in Vietnam, and the language is Vietnamese, and there's subtitles. So I was quarantined in my house, and I reached out to my friend and wanted to watch it with him over Zoom. So we watched Tiger Tail over Zoom, and I think I was kind of, because he's not studying films, I kind of wanted to talk all about, you know, my knowledge and what I knew about films, and telling him about framing and script and dialogue. And I think looking back at it now, if I used a more allophilic view, I should have been more empathetic, because this was his culture, and maybe listened more to him and allowed him to sort of contribute what he knew about his culture and his language, because he does know the language and his family grew up in Vietnam. So instead of maybe talking so much, I should have listened to his viewpoint and sort of been more sensitive and more open to learning more, instead of taking it as an opportunity to kind of be empowering and saying what I knew. But yeah, that's kind of just a small experience.
Jack Raz, that's a huge experience. Congratulations. You're at the very good start of transforming things for Anglo-American men. So nice job. We can talk more about that. Good. Let's go forward. I want to show you some of the responses to audience members who have participated in international films. This one, let's see, I'm checking our time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut a few of them. This one is quite brief. You saw a little bit of the film Fliegen, and this girl who is 7 is responding to it.
Dream was flying. It made a little bit of school and me and my dad, because at school I had an art class and we were drawing us and with a superpower that we really wanted, and my power was flying, and my dad always wanted to fly, so yeah. And the funny thing is that when she grew up, she became a dancer, and I really like dancing.
Oh, wow, that's nice to hear. Thank you for telling us that. Wow. Do you have flying? Okay, so there was a direct empathetic connection to the lead, and the little girl is going to remember that and have that memory, hopefully for a long time. Let's go on to this one here. And this is an Australian film called A Field Guide to Being a 12-Year-Old Girl. And we had an audience with the director, the cinematographer, and one of the subjects who is the daughter of the cinematographer. And she was the 12-year-old subject. So here is a trailer for the film.
Taming a 12-year-old.
Question 1. List off some advice that you would give a 12-year-old girl.
At 12 years of age, it's important to start becoming responsible for your actions.
This is your last year of childhood. Enjoy it. Relax and take it all in.
One day you will wish to be 12 again.
Act your age.
Always be polite.
Smile and be happy. Talk to people.
Don't talk to strangers.
Be bold. Smile and embrace your inner dag.
Enjoy yourself. Be true to yourself.
You're a kid. Have fun.
Do you think money grows on trees?
Can you just grow up? I am giving you until the count of 3. Don't make that face. The wind will change and it will stay that way. Focus. What are you going to be when you grow up? How was school?
Have you fed the dog?
Did you look both ways when you crossed the road?
Are you listening to me? Your parents are there to support you. Don't push them away.
Get off social media.
Plan ahead.
Be here now. Don't ever feel ashamed of your body.
Remain curious.
Stand up straight, shoulders back. Relax.
Answer me when I speak to you.
Can you just sit still and be quiet for once?
This is Tilda Cottam Hervey, director.
Together and what the vibe was like when they were all introduced to each other and kind of how they bonded with each other. What was it like when they were all first introduced, or did they have any?
I'll let Aude maybe answer most of that, but the first time we sort of all got together, I'd made a sort of PowerPoint and like a sort of whole introduction to what we were doing and like what the rules of the space were and how we were gonna do it. And I think the first thing we actually did was create a list of rules together of how we all wanted to treat
my wall.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we had a whole list. We came up with the rules together about how we wanted it to run, and how everyone would feel safe. And I think that was also a big part of, it's scary even as an adult going onto a film set. It always feels like the first day of school and you're not sure how to behave or what the rules are. And there was a lot of people from different experiences. And I think also like we had beautiful Hannah who has disability. And we just wanted to make sure that everyone was really clear about you know, how to respect everyone in that space and have everyone feel really comfortable. But or you might be able to speak a bit more of what that felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I'd been there since about 6 that morning, and everyone kind of came at 8 because I had, you know, been there, helping these guys set up and getting biscuits out, etc. And so it was weird because I was already so accustomed to the space, and it was kind of felt like I'd just been with my family all morning. And so I was quite confident. And I remember the first person who came in was Carrot, who I'm now still friends with. And I had seen her audition tape, and I was like excited to meet her. I was like, whoa, hey, how you going? And it was just this like shy, everyone was so shy and withdrawn the first day, you know, like edging into it. And I guess I was trying to be like the confident adult of the group. And I really remember that quite fondly. I was like, I just remember being like, I know what's going on here, which is a very 12-year-old attitude, I think, wanting to kind of be in control and not really knowing how.
Okay. I set up a lot of clips for you, but I don't think we have enough time to look at them all. Just briefly, this one, El Inicio de Fabrizio, is from Argentina. It's in Spanish, and it's an excellent film talking about first times. And the family who was watching it with me from Washington, D.C., has high school kids. And I asked them if there was a group in the film, there was a parent group that met to talk about this problem. And I asked if there was such a thing in the high school that their daughter goes to, and they said no, that there's not. I'll just play that for you briefly.
Group, and is there discussion about first times? Yeah, remember.
I mean, I don't know of a parent group.
No, I don't know of anything.
Yeah, we don't know of anything. That would actually be kind of, you know, I mean, you know, we just all are crossing our fingers and repeating.
I mean, I think.
There we are. I'll just go on from that. That could just, films as an intervention on many levels, both as learner, as parent, as teacher and director. These two young men, well, it's a little long. I'll leave that for you to look at it. I interviewed them for Finding Felix in 2011, and then they finished the film in 2019. And we learned that one has learned Arabic and gone to work in Arabic-speaking countries and has become a filmmaker himself, a documentary filmmaker himself. And the other one has not gone to film school, but is working in his second love, which is trains. And because he had this immersion in international film, he was comfortable in going to Iran and working for the Deutsche Bahn, the train company in Iran, and learning Farsi. So this is something that film can do. And I want to, brainstorm ways can be transformative. We talked a little bit about those, so you can use this. I'd just like to open up for a conversation, your feedback about film and some of the obstacles we might have in going forward and trying to bring more international film to learners in the United States. I'll open it up because some people are lucky that a parent or teacher introduced them to global cinema, and it shouldn't be left up to luck because it's such a simple and accessible solution, and the learning is too great. It shouldn't be left up to luck. So I'm working on this research, working on curriculum, and a curriculum that actually produces films for a 21st century thinker that is more globally minded. I'll open it up for our last few minutes for conversation. Feedback. Go ahead.
Hi.
Phyllis again. I think the work is outstanding. I mean, the idea of it and what I see happening is absolutely fantastic. And I think that there are many areas of one's life beyond just multicultural instances, but of just general differences or learning. This can be very useful. I think it's great. I'm fortunate my two grandchildren have been back and forth between France and the United States and in many other countries throughout their lives, and I see them as just so fortunate. But I now want to talk to them about kind of things that they think about those places and other people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, Phyllis. I think it does open up a gate for communication, yes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Ava, in your lab, what are the students? How are the students using their engagement in the research?
Well, it's part of the curriculum, and nowadays, since we are online, we do a flipped classroom, and they watch something ahead of time, and then we discuss it. But the discussion is very structured. Some open-ended questions, of course, and it depends on the level. If the class is advanced, or if I teach heritage students, then I have more advanced questions that give them an opportunity to express opinions, to hypothesize, to narrate. And if it is a lower level, I use it for descriptions, feelings at a very, novice level. But of course, they have to be prepared. I have to give vocabulary because we do it all in, not in English, we do it in language. So they prepare a little bit in advance, and then that's the first contact, and then they write something after they research. The research is in English. They research the topic in English, but they have to produce a blog and write their opinion and share with the class. So that's the format. And it's part of the curriculum. I don't have a class that is only based on film. But it's a great medium. For me, I mean, it's a good platform to discuss ideas. I remember myself as a child watching a lot of, in Greece, watching a lot of Italian movies. And I can't forget, I saw it again and again after, I became an adult, and that was I don't know if you know the film by Vittorio De Sica, the
Bicycle Thief.
Bike Thief, yeah.
Yes.
You seen it?
Yes.
Thief of Bikes, yeah. What a great movie.
Yeah.
What a great movie to history, culture, morals. I mean, you cannot beat that. But if you want only to use just for the film part, to use it for the characters, the plot, the main ideas, that's fine too. So it gives you, the medium gives you such a big gamut of doing activities and tasks and projects. So I really love it.
Yeah, it's so full and immersive.
Yes.
There's the Canadian author that dealt with his teenage son who wanted to quit school. And so his son, or the father, who was a film programmer, I believe, for Toronto Film Festival, said, okay, then we are watching a film a day. And that was the boy's education then. And I think there is something that we can certainly learn from that. And I know that distributors in Europe, for instance, have just about stopped sending films to the United States because our film industry is so strong. And you'll see, I've put up a slide that there's $17.2 billion in film exports. It is so strong, but I believe that does our learners a disservice. And so there is this surplus, you can see they're $10.3 billion. And I would like somehow to move that towards bringing more international films for K-12 learners into the world, and to open up the education field for all of those films throughout history that have not made it across the water. There are 10 children's film festivals in the United States, and their work is to bring those international films over, but there's only 10. And places that really need immersion in international experiences, and they're not getting them. They're not getting them. Although I must say that Chicago has the most established children's film festival. I worked there 1 year, and it's the most established, but it still struggles. It still struggles. And so, go ahead.
They say that the American film industry produces films with happy endings, but the international film industry produces films with an open ending, so the viewer can discover their own ending and interpret whatever they want to interpret. So I find this really another reason for bringing in something like what you are talking about to the children and the school.
Exactly. Breaking open that film. I like to call it a film we have around our eyes when we're born into the United States and we're introduced to Disney. And Disney is a good thing, but it needs contrast. It needs something different. It needs Renata Zilla, who guided the Berlin Film Festival's children's section for 17 years and made it the most copied film festival in the world of its kind. She says she doesn't mean a film needs a happy end. It just needs hope in the end. And that is the primary distinction of a film for young audiences. The Danish Film Institute says we can show almost anything to young audiences, but it's how you guide them and how you present it to them. And the film festival model is the way that we profess. It is professionally, carefully curated. It's presented and shown, and then followed by a moderated discussion with the filmmaker if we're lucky. And that is an incredible learning experience that for 20 years I've been bringing from Germany to the United States, and continually trying to innovate on how we can do that better and gain support for broadening that. So let's see if there's anything more that I want to. There's a little bit of resources, and then there's one film or one slide that I took out, and maybe you just take a quick glance at that before we sign off. It is 11:06, so I want you all to know that I am watching the time. And think about this one. Join with the familiar to embrace the foreign, with what we're engaging in now in the United States, where we are butting heads and we are looking at each other. We're staring each other down in a way. If we present a foreign entity that we both don't know, and that foreign entity wants to join, if that can open us up, and if we are hospitable or even just turn our gaze, which is happening in the United States, but also there's an opportunity for hospitality and empathy, and to learn so much more, because we know that there's a unique knowledge that comes from cultural collision, and that's so very rich. And I hope that more people can understand that as we emerge from both COVID and our racial disease. So I'll end on that note, and thank you all very much for your morning. I look forward to staying in contact. I'll make these slides available. The recording will be available. And I did reach out to all of you beforehand, so you should have my email. But I'll make sure that you do have it, and feel free to contact me. I believe that Manaf gave you my contact information. So thank you very much. I'll stay on later if anyone wants to continue talking with me. Thank you, Eva. I'll be in touch with you too.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack, have a great day. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you Thursday. Shall we try this on Thursday?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely try to make it Thursday.
Okay, just check in and let me know whether you're 100%.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. Love the presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for your feedback. It was great to hear your story. Really, really important. Bye, everybody. Bye, Phyllis.
Bye-bye. Thanks. I don't know if you heard me say this was a very rich experience.
Thank you, Phyllis. And we need to hear more about your experiences in Africa. And if you have contacts there, I'm actually starting a program for a group in Niger. A telecom company is trying to engage their customer service desks in Niger, and they're having a hard time actually between males and females working for the same company, and females are in charge of the customer service and the men are having a hard time being run by the women. So I said, well, let's break the culture open completely by showing them different culture through cinema.
Oh, this is wonderful work. Thanks for doing it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.